Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the number one horror podcast, formerly on Pornhub, which I actually had to explain to someone in an email today. Getting Off. I am your host, the patron saint of podcasting, the Warden Mad Ritter, and I am here with my co-hosts this evening. She is host of the She Leads Showcase, Inside the Mind of In the Crowd, story time with the current Getting Off champion, Ms. Katie Kinsey, baby. Trick or Trivia champion. Hello. Getting Off Trick or Trivia champion. Whatever. You're a champion here on Getting Off. And he joining us from Rivet City Radio, the purveyor of Rivet City Radio, host of Botch Spots and Chair Shots and so many other things, including Nerdy News at 420. He puts the Jew in Kaiju. He is the Will Gray.
I'm also a champion at Getting Off, just in a totally different way than Katie.
So, for those of you who don't know, we are covering the Hatchet franchise. Everyone was given homework. Katie and I are the only ones to actually fully complete the homework, but Will wanted to watch the second movie, which we've done before, while Katie and I talk about all four movies that we are covering, and give you some live reactions as to what he's seeing in the second movie, as well as what we talk about. We've been here before. It's going to be a good time. You do need to make me a new intro. I would love that. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, because Twitter. But before we get into that, Katie, it is the first episode of Getting Off.
Oh, you don't want to plug everything first? You just want me to do?
Oh, no. I'll plug it when you're done. Yeah, because Allison is waiting. She ran into the room to hear this, and I made her wait. So, Katie's Dexter watching journey.
I just made that when we got here. Yes. So I have started the show. For those patiently waiting, I just finished episode 3.
Okay.
So,
and how are you feeling?
What is good? Let me explain why I'm only 3 episodes in, and then I'll explain how I like it so far. I'm also watching House, and trying to watch back-to-back episodes is not gonna be good, so I'm gonna just go season by season. So earlier today I finished season 2 of House, and then I started Dexter season 1 today. I relate to Dexter and the awkwardness of just being a human. I was like, wow, I get it. He's just there trying to live because humans are weird, and I get that. Yeah. I don't like Deborah.
Oh, I love Deborah.
I don't like her. She's weird. Yeah, no, it's...
To be fair, though, if we were to be on this show, you would be Dexter and I would be Deborah, minus, the murder. So, she very much has a foul mouth and a dirty mind just like me. You are very much socially awkward just like him.
I found myself laughing. I was just like, wow, he's so awkward. I understand. I don't cringe. I get it.
You have no idea. Just wait. That's the... Dexter's on my Mount Rushmore. I think Michael C. Hall is up there as far as performances in TV shows. His role as Dexter
great.
Is phenomenal.
Is Dexter a good watch, and where can I watch? You can watch it on Paramount Plus. Actually, all 8 seasons are on Paramount Plus, and I'm 3 episodes deep, and it's good.
And on top of that, you also get Dexter Original Sin, which I am balls deep in right now, which is the prequel to the Dexter series. And then also there's a sequel series after Dexter as well. That was actually really good, and I enjoyed. So, you get a lot of Dexter over there on Paramount Plus.
And we talked about how there's going to be 2 other prequel series coming out.
Spinoffs, yeah.
Well... kind of. I don't know. But yeah, no. 3 episodes in. Just finished episode 3 before I came on here. It's not bad.
It's not bad. And you're going to enjoy it as it goes on because you love true crime and the true crime of it all. So watching him do his blood splatter analysis and the true crime aspect of
very fun for me. I love it. Angel was like, oh, you must have been so good at Cat's Cradle. And he's like, no, never done it. I was like, see, I get it. I love him.
Well, if you want to continue to follow us in Katie's journey through Dexter, The best way to do that is youtube.com/creationworld, where it is free to like, to subscribe, to comment. Will, what does that do?
It boosts the algorithm and it helps find new listeners.
And why is that important? Katie?
Tú eres un punta?
I don't know if that's correct, but okay.
Something along those lines.
I'm a whore, is what she's saying, for those of you who don't speak Spanish. I am a whore for your likes, for your comments, for your views, for your subscriptions, for your attention. I am an attention whore. That's why I podcast. So please give me that attention. Fuel me. Give me the serotonin that I need to continue to do this. Not just this show, but all the shows that we do that you can find here on YouTube, which I will plug here in a minute. And tell people about us. Boost that algorithm, help us find new listeners, as Will said, because the more people that listen to me, the more people that interact with me, the better time I have and the better content you get from that. And the best way to know when we are live, in case you don't have our schedule memorized, is to flick that bean, hit that notification bell, get notified every time we go live, whether it is every Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 Eastern, for the Creation Conversation. By the way, this week we are covering the AVN Awards, and that's always your favorite, so don't miss out on that one. Mondays, 15 minutes after Raw, whenever it should end. Tuesdays at 9:15 p.m. Central, 10:15 p.m. Eastern for NXXT. And Fridays, Smacking It Down with Smacking It Raw, 15 minutes after SmackDown, 10:15 p.m. Eastern, 11:15 p.m. Central Time. And then this show, which is currently on a Sunday, could possibly be on a Friday, depends on basically what Katie's schedule is and if she has plans or not. So, but this is an every other week show. You guys can tune in to check out. You guys can also follow us at twitch.tv/Creation World, where if you have Amazon Prime and you have Prime Gaming, you take those two things and you link them together, make them touch tips or whatever you're into, scissors, all that. Whatever you do, that gives you a free sub. It costs you absolutely nothing, but you can give it to your favorite Twitch streamer, which I think should be me. But if it's not me, maybe you're not into sexy bald white men, maybe you're into women, then give it to Katie over at the She Leads Showcase, where she talks about, women's wrestling and wrestling in general and all sorts of cool shit. And she has questions of the week and all that fun stuff. Or maybe, you want an orgy of hosts and content and things like that. You don't just want the same person over and over and over again. Rivet City Radio has that for you. There is a smorgasbord of penis and vagina over there for you to enjoy as you do your daily Twitch watching. And you can only find them on Twitch. They're monogamous to Twitch right now. So if you have a sub, give that sub to them and support them so that they can continue to make content for you over on Twitch. If you're a Twitch boy, girl, they, them, however you identify. Anything else?
No.
We good? Okay. So, Will, you have seen the original Hatchet, correct?
Yes.
Katie, you watched it through for the very first time.
Yes.
The entire franchise.
Yes.
I have watched this a plethora of times because, as we'll get into, it has a slew of horror movie icons making cameo appearances in minor and major starring roles throughout. I view the Hatchet franchise as a love letter to the slashers that I grew up with, whether it is in the casting, whether it is in little things that we'll talk about as we go through the movies and all of that. So I absolutely love this franchise. It gives me everything that I love about horror movies, all rolled up into one disgusting tumorous ball.
Ew.
You know,
Yeah.
Victor Crowley is covered in tumors and
Yeah, he's got a lot happening.
it's got a lot happening. Katie, how did you feel about Hatchet, your first watch through? Just the first movie.
I do appreciate a good celebrity cameo in a movie. Specifically like horror people in movies showing up in other horror movies. Always a fun time. Listen. I explained this to Matt already. It's just too gory for me. I can do gore, but just like the overkill consistently throughout all four movies. I don't know.
That's interesting because, like, for me, this isn't too much, but Terrifier is too much for me. And I feel like maybe it's because Terrifier is more realistic than this is. Like, this is a lot of gore, but it's very over the top, which I think is why I stomach it better.
Yeah, but like I've watched the first 2 Terrifiers, but like also just like laughed at them because like I don't find them scary or like anything at all. They were kind of just like me and my friend put them on to be like, what is the hype of this? We still don't understand after 2 movies, by the way. Hot take maybe, but yeah, like I don't have issues with Terrifier, but this, I don't know, some of the kills was just like, no thank you. I don't know why.
Well, you brought up cameos. My first swallow is obviously the cameos. We have Tony Todd. We have Robert Englund. We have Kane Hodder. We have Mercedes McNabb. We have Dion Richmond. And Ben is played by the guy that plays JP from Grandma's Boy.
Or one of the kid in Dodgeball is how I remembered him.
No, just Grandma's Boy. 100%.
Okay. Fuck you guys.
It's JP from Grandma's Boy. But Mercedes McNabb, Buffy.
Yes. She was. I can't remember who the fuck she played, but yes.
Dion Richmond is in a shit ton of stuff. Tony Todd, obviously Candyman. Robert Englund, obviously Freddy Krueger. Kane Hodder, obviously Freddy Krueger and Jason. Fun fact. Only character to play both. I love Beavers from the Parish. I do too. And we're going to talk about Bayou Beavers. But, Katie, give me a swallow.
Yes. The setting. Listen, I love New Orleans, and setting it in a bayou was very interesting because it's different. You know, we have our summer camps and our haunted houses and other things like that, but like a bayou is very like specific, but it works, especially because gators. Like, yeah, you have a ghost running around with a hatchet killing people, but you also got gators, and they're terrifying. But like, I loved the Louisiana, New Orleans setting of everything.
And it's very, I mean, Candyman does that a little bit. I think in
a little bit.
The second one that we watched, Farewell to the Flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's in horror, being out on the bayou, actually not being in a town, because even Candyman was more so inner city New Orleans for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Is a very different setting that you don't normally see for a slasher. It feels like Camp Crystal Lake, but down south, which is really cool, and I appreciate that.
Dancing.
Next up for me, Adam Green, who is the director. He directed a show that I loved called Holliston that featured Kane Hodder and Danielle Harris and so many other people, including some people that we'll talk about from Victor Crowley. But he also cameos in all of these movies. He is one of Ben's friends in the very beginning of the movie. He plays a somebody that got arrested, and I don't know. It's not like a prison. Like, what do you do if you get arrested and you're in the jail? Like,
I mean, you did.
Right? Like, Will's got the same thing that my brain is doing right now. Like, he's not a convict. He's not a prison. He's not a felon.
Inmate. No, it's just someone who gets arrested. Like, they're just they're waiting to get booked or something.
So
he's one of those.
You know, he plays that. He does cameos throughout the franchise, which I appreciate because I love seeing directors like. Yeah, he's been detained. Sprinkling themselves in, you know, Stan Lee in all of the Marvel movies, even though he's not directing, but he's the creator of a lot of those Marvel characters, or at least took credit for it. And then just seeing the people that created the stuff popping up in their own movies. M. Night Shyamalan does it.
In every movie he's in, yep.
Pretty much everything he's ever done.
Katie, got swallow?
Specifically Kane Hodder, but pulling double duty. Kane Hodder is a beautiful, beautiful man. Can I just say? When he's not covered in shitty makeup and looks evil and scary. Beautiful, beautiful man. Beautiful, beautiful little face. I didn't realize he was going to play both. Well, I knew he was playing Victor Crowley because you told me beforehand, which was part of the reason we were going to do this, because I love Kane Hodder now. But I didn't know he was also going to play Thomas Crowley, his father. So like that was very interesting to me, and I think he did a fantastic job as both throughout the first 3 movies. I think he plays Thomas. So I don't know. I just love me some Kane Hodder. He's a good actor. Like, please show me them acting chops, my guy. You're not just some big scary man killing people for funds, pretends. You got them acting chops. I love Kane Hodder.
Oh no, Kane is fantastic, and this isn't the first time. I mean, Jason Goes to Hell. We see, obviously, he is Jason, where Jason gets blown up, but then he's also a security guard that talks shit about Jason and calls him a pussy. And
different type of acting chops, but yes.
yeah, but like we see Kane Hodder do this occasionally, where he is himself outside of the suit and the mask, but also he is the main villain, which we love. And I've got pictures of Kane Hodder choking me, so you know.
I'm jealous.
I have pictures of you choking me, but in a totally different manner.
Listen,
can I piggyback off of Katie real quick?
Absolutely. That's what you're here for.
I have Kane Hodder as a Swallow as well. Bulky, mutated man ripping dudes' faces off. What I appreciate about it, like kind of like what you said about Terrifier, it isn't just a slasher like Jason running around with a machete at Camp Crystal Lake. Like they get really creative with the way that Victor Crowley was, unaliving everyone. I do think one of the biggest things with this movie, though, as opposed to a Friday the 13th, is this borderline, that slapstick, gory to be gory horror movie the same way Terrifier does. Like the original Hatchet tiptoed that line real close to just being a silly horror movie for the sake of being a silly horror movie.
And it does it better. I think as we move on, it kind of gets a little more serious, but then by Victor Crowley, we've gone full horror comedy. But that brings me to my next swallow, because I also had lots of gore and kills on here. The kills are some of my favorite things about this movie, which we will get to at the end. But you guys know me. You know why we're here. Swallow for Matt. Boobs, but not just boobs, ladies and gentlemen. We got Mardi Gras boobs. We got Great Value Girls Gone Wild boobs, Bayou Beavers. And fun fact. So, in Victor Crowley, the character of Rose, she's the brunette that
she's the friend, yeah.
So in this movie, when they're looking through his tapes, and he's going through, the 14-year-old girl that's like, I'm 14, mister, leave me alone, that's Rose. So she's here, and then later on she's credited. Is it the second one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have that as a note for the second one.
But yeah, no, so Rose is there, but Bayou Beavers is a thread throughout these movies, and it brings me the boobs. So I love, they got that there for me. What about you, Katie? Swallows?
Specifically the character of Mary Beth. I love me a strong woman who carries a gun for safety reasons, as all women should at this point. Listen, she's out there just trying to look for her daddy and her brother. I mean, she finds them. Not if she wants to. But just like, she knew what the fuck was going on for the most part. She kind of had a plan. A big spit is that nobody listens to Mary Beth. When someone knows what's going on and you don't listen to them and you all start dying, that's your fault.
Mary Beth is fantastic. Like, I did tell you that. Do you want me to wait before Hatchet 2, or do you want to know why they recast Mary Beth now?
Just tell me now. I'm curious. Okay.
So it kind of goes along the lines of what we talked about with Scream 7 and 6 with money. So from what I've read, they said that after the first Hatchet movie, she received some bad advice and was difficult to negotiate with. But I guess Danielle Harris actually auditioned for this role, and they decided not to cast her because they thought that adding another horror movie icon would then make this movie about the icons and not about the movie. They didn't want to overload it too much, so they decided to cast an unknown in this role. And as you said, she did fucking fantastic. She killed it. She was great. So when Hatchet 2 came around, apparently she wanted to be compensated for the great job that she did, and they felt like she was asking for more than what it was worth. And I guess they got Danielle Harris for cheaper, maybe. I don't know. So that is why she ended up being recast.
Very interesting.
My next swallow is the Harbinger of Death. This is a trope in slashers. It is here. It is the man who is out there in the boat. I think it's Joe Cracker, which we'll talk about in the next movie.
It's
Jack Cracker. Jack Cracker.
Because I was thinking
Cracker. But he's out there and he's yelling at them and he's warning them. You know, very much like the Harbinger of Death, and again, Friday the 13th, since we're talking Kane Hodder. You know, so you bring this character in, he warns them of the dangers on the swamp and all of this, and another similarity to Friday the 13th we'll get to when we get to the next movie, but introducing that character, love having a Harbinger of Death. Obviously, Cabin in the Woods plays off that too. So, big swallow for me there. You got any more, Katie? Or Will?
I don't.
You don't.
Marcus.
Okay, I got a few.
I loved Marcus. He was the comic relief. The whole idea that throughout the whole movie, that whole I really don't want to be here mentality. Like, I loved that. The Bayou Beavers, who doesn't love a good raunchy Girls Gone Wild in New Orleans video?
But also the fact that the way they played it up to where it wasn't like we were glorifying this, like this guy existed and we established that he's a piece of shit and he got his comeuppance for being a piece of shit. And that's what I love about these movies is you take these things that probably aren't the best for society, but gain massive popularity. And then you get into a horror movie and you parody it and then you tear these people down, you know? So,
I have the who's who of horror movies. I remembered Robert Englund and Tony Todd, Kane Hodder, like all the names and all the places. I thought that was super cool for this. The tour guide looks like somebody who was made the Diana Slasher movie.
Oh, wait, what's his name?
Like, I don't think he dies. He's here in the second one, so I mean, he obviously didn't die in the first one.
Perry Shen.
Yeah.
The actor.
No, so
I don't remember.
It's my favorite thing.
Yes, I was going to say that is on my swallows. So I have Perry Shen, aka.
I was just going to wait until the last one, but yeah.
Sean's brother hired him to come on and do this because he needed the night off. The Perry Shen that you are seeing in 2 is Sean's brother, the one that hired him to go out on the boat.
His name's like Justin or something.
Yes. Okay. He also returns in 3 and 4.
And he's the same character in 3 and 4.
Yeah, he's actually the same character in 3 and 4. But this actor recurs throughout the entire franchise, playing 3 different roles. But I also love, like, he's trying to do the bad, like, Louisiana Bayou tour guide voice, and then they get on his nerves so much by telling him that he's wrong that he just snaps, and then his accent actually comes out.
He was definitely one. Like, the characters were good in this movie. Like, all of the characters did what they needed to do and were good at that. It's like that's I like didn't write that down, but like that's something I also really enjoyed about this movie.
Reverend Zombie sounds like a character from a Rob Zombie movie, though.
It does. I've got Marilyn Manson in the opening credits as a swallow as well. I do love me some Marilyn Manson here and there, and that song kicks ass. So I love opening with that song. Other swallows for me, we kind of talked about it, but the tragic story of Victor Crowley that plays out. You talked about Kane Hodder playing the father and everything, but we're lore whores. That's what we are here. I love me some good lore. And the way Victor Crowley died, very reminiscent of kind of like Pumpkinhead with being a spirit of revenge, things like that. He pulled a lot for, I know you've never seen Pumpkinhead. I know.
I said,
but he pulled,
don't know that.
he pulled a lot from all of these different horror movies.
I mean,
and
yeah,
brought them in to make them work. Whether it was characters, there's a lot of Friday the 13th in this, which is actually my last follow or swallow. Not follow.
My last follow.
The shout out to Friday the 13th with the ending. They're on a boat. Victor comes out, grabs her, pulls her into the water. You know, nice little homage to the ending of the original Friday the 13th, with Ben dying in the boat.
Also, real fucked up using his arm to pull out Mary Beth.
I was about to say that's crucial because he convinced her that it was her old man, and like, just kidding, bitch.
Like that shit had me shook. I was like, ah. I was like, damn, Ben's out here just dying in a boat slowly. That's crazy.
Without an arm.
Without an arm.
Sans arm.
So let's see. We got that, Gore, Harbinger, Death, opening credits, boobs, Sean. Yep. All swallows. Will, you got anything before we go to Spits? Will, you got anything before we go to Spits?
Sean getting shoveled in the face. Did you say that one?
Well, that's on the list of kills, so.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll wait for that. Then. Sorry, spoiler alert.
I only have four spits. So Katie, please unload.
It's not even like spits. A lot of this movie I just felt like indifferent about. So like there's like not a lot to like say. I already said that nobody listens to Mary Beth because again, when somebody knows what they're doing, listen. Because you're all stupid. Also, you guys like the Bayou Beavers thing? That director guy, big spit. I mean, haha, God was coming to you. Yeah, Shapiro. Haha, fuck you, you die. I was happy about that. I laughed. Yeah. I was like, good comeuppance. But like the character itself was just blech, gross. So that was like a big one, and like. I wouldn't say it was like too. I don't think it was like too campy, because like this was something I had like as kind of just like middle ground. Was like kills overall, like some were really cool, but some like took it too far, and I was just like gross. And like the horror campiness, comedy, whatever you want to call it, like Will said, kind of tiptoed the line a little bit, but like I didn't have a full issue with it, because it's okay to have a little bit of comic relief in your movies. Like, nothing wrong with that. Or finding something to laugh about in your movie.
So you more so had gargles than spits.
Yeah, like, okay. I mean, yeah, the majority of the movie was just like a gargle. But what does that mean, campy? Like, over the top.
Cheesy,
like, exaggerated. Corny. Yeah.
Gory to be gory. I always think like the Terrifier movies are campy. You know what I mean?
A little bit.
Yeah.
That's my go-to example.
We're gonna get a lot of hate from the Terrifier fans on this episode.
Honestly, good. Bring the fuck on. Let's go.
I don't want to. I hate that because my whole thing this whole time, and this isn't a Terrifier conversation, is like you said. I can tie it into this conversation because you said how important lore is.
Love lore.
There is no Art the Clown lore other than he likes to butt fuck people with broomsticks and shit. Like that's all it is. He likes to kill people in creative ways. Like
he is real creative.
Quote me there.
So my spits are also not like real spits. I'm spitting the fact that poor Marcus just wanted to go to Mardi Gras and see some titties and got roped into some white people shit, and now he's dead.
He said, "I was being fine on Bourbon Street." Looking at some titties, and you're making me here sit on a boat, which I get it.
I'm spitting Ben in general. Like, you're out there mourning the loss of your girlfriend. You ask your friends on Bourbon Street during Mardi Gras, haven't we seen enough boobs yet? That is never a question that should be asked at Mardi Gras on Bourbon Street. Hands down, period.
Never.
Also, you know, sitting here like crying about his girlfriend the whole time and then immediately being like, oh, hi, Mary Beth. How are you? What's going on? I'm kind of fucking awkward, but let me try and flirt with you. Yeah. On a ghost tour. Like,
see, Ben, weird social awkward. Dexter, good social awkward. Like, there are different types of socially awkward people.
I feel like you need, and now she's a dead soundbite. Legit for bite. No, never enough. Says to strip the board. And hey, there's a difference.
Hey.
We do need a and now she's dead soundbite.
I don't do the sound bites on this channel. This is you.
Vince actually does the sound bites on this channel, so I'll talk to him. The ending is, like I said, it's cool that we did the homage to Friday the 13th, but it works when you roll into Hatchet 2, but as just like watching the Hatchet film, it's just kind of like, really, that's how it's over. Just fade to black.
Every fucking movie does that. All 4 of these are just like, boom, black screen.
And then my other spit, and this is, again, I love Mary Beth in this movie. I love the actress that did this, but I prefer Mary Beth from 2 and 3 because Danielle Harris. So, like...
Well, that's not fair.
Well, all right. Kills. Samson, played by Robert Englund, and his son disassembled by Victor Crowley on the bayou. Victor Crowley died from a hatchet to the face from his dad by accident. I'm not sure it was by accident. Mr. Crowley died from a broken heart, supposedly. Jim cut most of the way through by Victor Crowley. Shannon gets her mouth stretched to death by Victor Crowley. Doug Shapiro gets his head twisted around by Victor Crowley. Jenna gets her mouth belt sanded off. Ladies and gentlemen, the franchise is called Hatchet, but the weapon of choice is the belt sander.
It should have just been called belt sander. Like, for fuck's sake.
And impaled by the shovel handle. Sean gets his foot and head removed with a shovel. Misty, unfortunately, killed off screen. And Marcus was disarmed and then had his skull smashed on a tombstone.
Mm-hmm. And Ben in limbo.
Ben's not dead. Ben's not
in
dead.
limbo.
Which is why he's not listed. Ben's not dead. Overall, the first Hatchet movie, Spit or Swallow.
Gargle.
William?
I would say this is like a second date swallow. Like,
yeah, she got her mouth stretched.
You might not like it the first time, but like it's one of those like at least try it once. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, just try it once. Hatchet is like anal sex. Everybody should try it once.
So, spoilers for Will, who is currently watching Hatchet 2. Hatchet 2 picks up where Hatchet left off, but we have new Mary Beth in Danielle Harris.
Slightly confusing, by the way, because I had to ask. Wait, we hadn't gone live yet. I literally went, Matt, is this literally right at the end of the first one? You were like, yeah, but it's not the same person. And I was like, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second.
My first swallow, again, is going to be the cast of characters. So we now have Danielle Harris, who's one of my favorite horror movie actresses, scream queens of all time. R.A. Mihailov, who played Trent in this movie. He is also Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. We have Tony Todd back. We have Kane Hodder. We have Tom Holland, not that Tom Holland, playing Uncle Bob. And John Carl Butcher, who is Jack Cracker. And he is also the one that did all the special effects for this. He is a very well-known special effects artist who, again, plays the Harbinger of Death, Jack Cracker, as well. So, again, another jam-packed horror icon, just conglomeration in this movie. Katie, swallow?
I mean, we already said Danielle Harris, but like Danielle Harris. Come on. I will say her Louisiana accent, kind of shitty. I let that slide. It gets better in like the third movie, kind of, but like, could have worked on that a little bit more, babe. A little bit. But she's great. Danielle Harris is so fun to like watch because she's just so tiny, but like so vicious, and she's really like she wants to fuck shit up in this movie. She's like, I want him dead. He killed my daddy. He killed my brother. All of the people I was just with on this boat. She wants revenge, as she should. Love it.
She is fantastic. I fucking love her. So you were right. I was looking at my notes. Laura Ortiz plays 14-year-old Rose being harassed by Shapiro. She's also in Holliston and in Victor Crowley, which we'll talk about later. But with that, you also mentioned that it is Jack Cracker that is going through the Bayou Beavers tapes that he finds, which brings me to my next swallow, which again, ladies and gentlemen, is boobs and more boobs. It is the Bayou Beavers tape boobs, but it is also bonus boobs from Avery, who is my favorite kill when we get to the kills.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This one had so many just like random people. I kind of forget.
Well, the reason they had random people is when Danielle Harris comes back and finds Reverend Zombie and says, hey, blah, 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 dead, blah, 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 my daddy and my brother in the swamp. I need you to take me back out there. He's like, well, I know how to get rid of the ghost. And his goal to get rid of the ghost is to give the ghost the last living person, so he thinks, that lit the house on fire that led to his father sticking a hatchet between his eyes and blah, blah, blah.
On
and
accident.
That is Mary Beth's uncle. So he tells her, get
Bob.
your uncle, and I'm going to get a hunting party, and we're going to go out there. So, like, all of the random cast of people that die in this movie are majorly just the hunting party.
Yeah, who want $5 grand or something from Reverend Zombie,
Yeah.
Which, spoiler,
And cookies.
nobody ever gets. And cookies.
And cookies.
They got cookies and they got Fat Master Roshi.
Fat Master Roshi is Trent, who is one of the other kids. So the kids that harassed Victor Crowley were Mary Beth's dad, Trent, her Uncle Bob, and was it 3 or 4? I feel like
It was only 3.
It was just.
But it wasn't Uncle Bob.
So, well, Reverend Zombie thinks it's Uncle Bob. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We're not there yet.
I'm just saying.
But yes, Avery's kill is my favorite, and more boobs. Boobs are back. Big swallow. What about you, Katie?
Specifically, the camera work in these movies is really good, but the camera work, while she's in the water, was really, really good. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just a sucker for a little bit of good camera work. So that was a little swallow for me. Just when she's struggling in the water, and the camera going under and like coming back up with her is really good. So it was really well done. So that gets a little swallow.
Okay. Will, you got any swallows from your short watch through here of the last 40 minutes?
40 minutes in.
I will tell you right now. Hold on. I'm 46 minutes into this movie. I'm a little over halfway done. I might start the third one before we end this. I just wrote down Reverend Zombie is walking through the swamp with a voodoo staff and a sawed-off shotgun. He is ready for fucking anything.
Oh yeah, he is.
That's why
Reverend Zombie.
I was like, he is packing. He is ready for some shit to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Reverend Zombie is arguably one of my favorite Tony Todd roles.
He's so good.
You just get so much more Candyman. You get the dark kind of sensual, and then in Final Destination, you get the really scary version of Tony Todd. But here, he really gets to be charismatic. He gets to you get a different side of Tony than you're used to seeing in a lot of other horror movies.
I would dare say also the sensual side of Tony Todd.
Oh,
Tony Todd's accent. Shit.
Who is the blonde lady, Matt?
The blonde lady?
Yeah, and Hatchet too.
That's Avery.
Uh-huh.
She's one of the hunters. That is going to be my favorite kill when you get there.
Who is she though? The actress. She looks like something.
Yeah.
She's familiar. She looks like somebody you've made me watch recently. She looks like what was the movie you had me watch where they were hunting people?
That is not the same lady.
Okay.
That was called
You're talking about the hunt.
Okay. Yeah.
No,
Yes.
yeah, it's not the same lady.
No,
That I know.
that actress in The Hunt is actually one of the main characters in Glow. Betty Gilpin. That is not Betty Gilpin. You guys got really quiet.
He was just,
I'm just going back to my movie.
Okay.
was my question.
We talked about, Katie said Harbinger of Death. Again, in the first Friday the 13th, we're introduced to Ralph, the Harbinger of Death. In the second one, Jason kills Ralph. We are introduced to Jack Cracker in the first movie. In the second movie, Victor Crowley kills Jack Cracker.
Aggressively.
We also aggressively, but we also get more exposition when he finds out who Danielle Harris is, or who Mary Beth is, and who her father is. He's like, you need to get the fuck out of here. I didn't help her. I had nothing to do with it. Please don't come for me. Oh, he comes for you. But like, again, I love these little like throwbacks, homages, whatever you want to call them, to all of, you know, major horror franchises and things, and little, the way they go about doing things. And that is one of them that I really appreciate. Very much Friday the 13th, along with Kane Hodder. You can see, and that's what I was telling you, is like, you can see Adam Green's love for slashers just bleed through all over, at least the first three movies.
Fourth one,
Katie, swallow.
More lore, different kind of lore. We learn more about the lore of Victor Crowley, which goddamn I was not expecting. This is like a 2-part swallow specifically, because yeah, we get more lore, but now we also get like the voodoo aspect of Louisiana and New Orleans, which I fucking love. I mean, they mentioned Marie Laveau in the first one, and I have been to the shop. It is very cool. And yes, I did leave her an offering because I ain't trying to fuck with any of that. But the lore of Victor Crowley, basically his dad cheated.
Can I do it?
Oh, please.
Because I also have it here, but you know how I do things. So Thomas Crowley wanted a little taste of chocolate while his wife was dying of terminal illness.
You fucking right he did. Yes.
And then had the audacity, once he thought that she was dead, to just go for it right in front of her. Unfortunately, she was not quite dead yet. She rose up, cursed the unborn child in the womb of his chocolate mistress, and
his chocolate.
It was messy.
Like, he hired this woman to take care of his wife, and then started, and it actually, not going to get too deep into it, but it hits home, not necessarily with my father, but another family member did a lot of the same shit that Thomas Crowley did, and I hated that man. So, like, that's why I was like, allegedly, when Thomas Crowley stuck the hatchet in his face, because, like, fuck Thomas Crowley after this for doing that. So,
Jesus. Not only getting Victor Crowley lore, we get Matt lore.
well, you know,
We usually get Katie
lore. That was lore in real time.
It was. Yeah, true. But yes, chocolate mistress. I understand.
Voodoo cursed baby from a white lady too.
Which good. Because white women are the devil.
That sounds like the lines from a Jimi Hendrix song. Voodoo cursed baby from a white lady.
But yeah, so that's why Victor Crowley came out all deformed and looked the way he did, was due to the voodoo curse. It's also why he is a repeater and he comes back and relives his death, is because of the voodoo curse.
Well, yeah, and Thomas had to take care of the baby himself, because as soon as the baby was born, I forget her fucking name, but like, she's straight up got scared to death.
Chocolate Mistress.
Chocolate Mistress. I don't want to call her that though. She had a name. Couldn't tell you what it is though. Fuck you.
My next swallow are Jason Voorhees and Leslie Vernon behind the mask references in this movie. Enjoyed that a lot. Again, mixing that in. Along with the fact that we get technically Jason versus Leatherface in this movie as Trent, R.A. Milov, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3's Leatherface, clashes with Kane Hodder. In some weird, bizarro universe, it is Jason versus Leatherface, and I kind of love that. And Jason wins. Yes.
And we get Jason versus Candyman.
We do get Jason versus Candyman as well. That was a separate swallow.
Well, I'm bringing it up now.
Literally, it says Jason versus Leatherface. Jason wins, and then below that, Candyman versus Jason. Very next
Will looks perplexed.
Hold the fuck. Just hold the front door.
Okay, we're holding.
He just killed a man with a hatchet, but he didn't hatchet it. He like hammered him with the hatchet.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the most. Like when you play Minecraft, there's a tool for the job. Like you don't want to use a shovel to cut down a tree. Like I don't think he got through the tutorial because that's not how you use a hatchet. Like you could have done that hell of a lot quicker.
To be fair, there is not a whole lot of hatcheting going on in Hatchet. Like, there are some hatchet kills.
No, it's
the hatchet out, and I was like, fuck yeah. First kill of the movie is going to be a hatchet kill. Nope, I was wrong. It's a hatchet kill. It's not a hatchet
The name of the franchise is more about how Victor Crowley died than the weapon that he chooses to use. But, I mean, you even see that in Friday the 13th. Again, with Jason, he's known for his machete, but as the franchise goes on, he has a
sleeping bag.
wide repertoire of different devices to mutilate you with.
Is it rope? What is it with the Harbinger of Death? Is that just like rope, or is that like, what is that, cable?
Yeah, he choked Ralph. There's also the belt and the stick in part 5. Yeah. Like, and various different, weed whackers and all sorts of shit that Jason pulls out and uses. You got any more swallows, Katie?
I don't I don't know what I consider this. I told you this is something I wrote in all caps. Like I wrote it down in all capital letters. Why the fuck is that chainsaw so big?
Dude, why are we the same person? Because
that's what she said.
Is
shut up, Will.
My very last swallow is world's biggest chainsaw.
No, listen, I don't understand. You're telling me he had where do you even find a chainsaw that big?
New Orleans.
Nolans, of course. Nolans. Also, that was the strongest fucking chainsaw I've ever seen in my life because he picked up not only one person, but 2 people. Now,
is the chainsaw strong or is Victor Crowley strong?
DNA as well as those. Both things can be true.
Okay.
I think having not seen that yet, I think you have to apply the logic that both have to be strong. Because the tool, it would have to be able to handle the weight of 2 people. But, but he would also have to be able to support the weight himself. So I think it would have to be both, not just one or the other.
Yeah. Thank you.
What you got for spits?
Again, everything else was just like, whatever. That's how I feel like with most of these movies. It's just like there's specific things I like, very little I don't like, and everything else is kind of just there. And I didn't feel necessarily one way or the other about it. But again, the main thing is, as I put it, pervy tapes, pedo Shapiro, because why? You gotta have all that. And then again, when you get to the I'm 14. I said, I gotta go. I drew the line there, and this was in the beginning of the movie, and I was like, we don't have a problem with that. Because, no fucking thank you. This is coming from someone who watches Law and Order SVU. Like, please don't cross that line. They did, but again, he did. So, ha ha. It was just weird. I mean, I appreciate like continuity because we love that. Also, the fact that I think the first 3 movies take place in the span of 72 hours,
something like that. Yeah.
Fucking bonkers. Like, you're telling me it is night for so long.
So, Friday the 13th, part 2, 3, and 4, very similar timeline.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Jason is dead at the end of part 2 and then is stumbling around through part 3, gets the hatchet wound to the head, or machete wound to the head, and then stumbles into part 4, and it's all within a few days of each other.
Yeah. That's crazy. Again, more on Friday the 13th.
Anything else you got?
No, again, that was like the main thing. Everything else was kind of just me.
Okay. So I've got, Will mentioned it already. Shout out to Will, who's enjoying this movie. But picking up the ending of the last movie with a brand new Mary Beth, just kind of out of the blue. I also wrote no Ben, but that's because I wrote the notes as I was watching them, and I forgot that we're going to see Ben again later.
Oh, yeah.
But we picked it up and we didn't even say, hey, what happened to Ben? But there's a reason for that. Mary, so we're talking lore, right? They make it very clear in the first movie that Victor Crowley comes back every night to relive the tragedy. And Mary Beth, who knows this, who tells us this, right, decides that instead of just going back during the day to go get her father and brother's bodies and get them out of the swamp, is going to go back at night after everything she just saw, after repeatedly trying to kill the ghost and seeing that it cannot die, and do this all over again the very next night. Why? Why would you just not go back during the day?
Guess.
Like, Vernon being an annoying stereotype, singing about chicken and biscuits and all the dumb shit that they had him do, bothered me a little bit. I know it was the 2000s and it was meant for comedy, but I don't know. It just
2010
seemed a little out of place. Everyone splitting up in the swamp, which obviously we know in horror movies is a terrible fucking idea. But
literally every time.
Reverend Zombie lying to Justin about his brother being alive repeatedly, and no one calling him out on that shit till like the very end of the movie.
Yeah, no, that's fucked up.
Like, you dragged this poor man out to where his brother was dead in like, yeah, help me come find your brother, knowing full well that that man is dead.
Help me come find your brother. No, sir.
This isn't really a spit. I just didn't know where to put it because I also didn't want to have it as a swallow. But Avery's dirty talk while getting fucked in the swamp. She said, "You like that better than Jesus, better than baby Jesus."
And he's like,
laugh.
No, he's like, not helping.
No. The whole scene made me laugh. It was funny, but I also wasn't going to put "you like that better than Jesus, you like that better than baby Jesus" as a swallow either. So like, it's just going to kind of sit here.
What?
And then last but not least, another why the fuck do we wait so long? Mary Beth finds out why she's out in the swamp and why Uncle Bob is out there. And as Uncle Bob is about to die and everything is happening, she waits until after Bob has been murdered and all of this stuff happens to tell Reverend Zombie, hey, that's the wrong guy. This is just my dad's best friend. He's not even fucking related to us. I'm spoiling the entire end of the movie for Will right now as he's staring at me. Wrong. My dad's brother died of emphysema or cancer or some shit years Not even that guy.
Will's losing his shit down there. It's so funny.
It couldn't have been better timing. I just saw Avery's titties, and I was like, what is he talking about? Baby Jesus. And then it was like the next scene is her with her pants on getting railed from behind. I'm not sure how I understand that one, because that's why I set up at first, because I was like, this woman still got her jeans on. I'm not an anatomist, but I don't think that's possible. But then she said it, and I was like, what would you do in that situation? Like, do you stop?
Yes.
No, I'd say yes. Yes. No, I'd say yes, and I'd pray about it later.
No, I stop and I stop and I go home.
You just stop in the middle of your hunt for that crazy.
I'm like, all right. I said, all right, that's enough.
And I like how she wants to almost talk him into it. Like at first he was kind of like, you know, we're on this death mission. We might all be dying, but I don't know if I want to get laid right now. Like, and it took her boobs coming out.
Married or engaged.
Engaged.
Someone else.
No. Which is why he got what he deserved.
Spoiler
leukemia,
alert.
I do have it in my notes. He died from leukemia when she was 12, was the brother. So, yeah. But, like, you could have said that earlier, and maybe Reverend Zombie would have been like, oh, shit, let's get the fuck out of here and save Bob. But you didn't. You just let that happen.
Reverend Zombie was on a suicide mission at that point.
I know Will's with me, but there is very little. Not that there's nothing. There are plenty of things you can say or do. You can pull an Elon Musk and I'm out, right? But, like, very little that you can actually say in the moment when I'm there that's going to make me stop and be like, no, like, if you ask me questions, for the most part, like, do you like this better than Baby Jesus? Yes, absolutely. Cool. Like, I'll sort that out later. Like, that's not a problem. There are things that you can ask me that I'll be like, no, nope, can't do that. I'm out. But that is not one of them. She did not cross a line for me. So.
No, it's a big no for me, dog.
You got any more? You got any more spits before we get into the kills?
No, I'm good.
All right. Jack Cracker gets his guts ripped out and then strangled with them.
Terrible.
Cheyenne Crowley died of cancer and infidelity, because we're not sure if it was the heartbreak or the cancer, but kind of a nation of both. Lena died from pure terror after giving birth to a cursed child. Mm-hmm. 5 random Bayou folk are torn apart in a montage that happened.
I forgot about that.
Chad gets mouth fucked with the top of the hatchet, which Will talked about. That's the wrong way to use the hatchet. Cletus gets a deep tissue facial with a propeller blade.
They left his eye in the middle of his, like, that one got a good giggle out of me, because it was like the eye was just left there in the middle, like, perfectly.
So Leighton and Avery are having sex. Leighton gets decapitated during sex, which then causes his body to spasm really fast into Avery, which she enjoyed till she realized what was going on with him speed clapping her cheeks. Avery, oh wait, no, that scrolled up. Hold on. Gets a hatchet doggy style.
It like that. Nah, ow.
And then to the chest. So she took it from the back and the front.
Disrespect.
John and Vernon get a 2-for-1 castration via giant chainsaw. Justin gets a hatchet in the spine and a belt sander buzz cut to the back of his head. Trent gets curb stomped on a table and the top of his head kicked across it. Will's getting really excited for the kills coming up. Uncle Bob dies off screen with a lot of blood splattering everywhere. Reverend Zombie gets cut in half with a hatchet, and then the upper half of his body is ripped out of its skin.
It sounds like you just described a Mortal Kombat fatality.
It literally is.
It straight up is. It straight up is.
It literally is.
Then Victor Crowley gets his brains bashed in with the hatchet from Mary Beth, starts to come back, and then she shoots the bloody stump where his head used to be with a rifle, and this was very much Rob Zombie's Halloween at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Where she's on the chest, and she just keeps shooting. Yeah. Very much felt that, which Danielle Harris, Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Yes.
Hatchet 2, Spit or Swallow.
This one will get a swallow. I did like it more than the first one. I'm just watching Will like so engrossed in the movie. He's so invested. I thought he was gonna say something.
Will, are you swallowing? Yeah, I thought he was unmuting to say something too.
Yeah, no. I was. They just told him that Reverend Zombie knew his brother was dead the whole time, and now he's big mad. But they're like already too far up Schitt's Creek for it to matter, anyways. You know, like, yeah. No, I definitely. Maybe it's the environment, hanging out with good friends with some good weed, but I've enjoyed the movie. It's been a fun watch. If nothing else, it made me giggle a few times.
Like it's not a great horror movie, but it's a fun horror movie.
It's a chainsaw.
It's the world's largest chainsaw.
He
I
said
can hear
it's
that.
Chainsaw.
All right. Hatchet 3. Katie,
Yes.
give me a swallow.
All right.
Okay, Will. This has kind of just been one throughout, but like this one like really got me. Just the music in general for like the opening credits, like heavy
Very
metal
hard
shit.
rock, very metal.
Yeah, I was like, all right, fuck yeah, I'm in. Here we go. This was the first one I was just like really feeling, but I was like, yeah, music.
There are no boobs in this movie. However, we do get Danielle Harris in the shower getting sprayed with a hose to wash all of the blood off her, and that's a swallow. You don't really see anything, but you still see enough. What do you got?
Okay. This one got me. I will say, I was not expecting it. So later in the movie, when we get to, I don't remember the character's name. It's like the old man or whatever that Amanda interviewed years ago. Who opens the door? But Sid Haig? I literally sitting here, my jaw dropped. I was not
very
expecting
racist
that.
Sid Haig.
Very racist. Yeah. But like I was
Captain Spaulding.
Oh, I know who he is. I was confused about the weapon of choice.
Which one?
Like the smallest gun imaginable.
Oh yeah.
Mary Beth and not the dead brother just ran into the room, but they grabbed like the smallest gun they have between them.
Oh yeah.
I was just kind of really confused. You just watched what he did and you grabbed the smallest gun y'all have. Bad idea. There's voodoo dolls.
Well,
too.
Katie, you brought up Sid Haig. I will see your Sid Haig with a Zach Galligan from Gremlins, who played the sheriff.
Oh.
Derek Mears, who plays the leader SWAT captain, who is also Jason in Friday the 13th remake.
Oh, like the big mean SWAT guy?
Yeah, big bald mean. Yeah, that's Jason in the remake. Derek Mears.
Okay.
Or no, I'm sorry, not in the remake. In Freddy versus Jason, I think.
Ooh, I love Freddy versus Jason. Hot take.
I'm pretty sure. Hold on. I want to make
Freddy
sure.
versus Jason is one of the best movies out there. No one can tell me otherwise.
No. Ken Kersinger is Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. So yes, it was in the remake. Derek Mears was 2009 Friday 13th remake. We also had Caroline Williams of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 fame, as well as a bunch of other horror movies.
Is that why she looked familiar to me?
That's why she looked familiar.
Okay.
And of course, Kane Hodder. Yeah, she was the radio DJ Stretch in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. The final girl of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. So again, a slew of horror icons as we go through into the third movie. People have played iconic horror characters. What do you got for me, Katie?
I mean, we brought her up. Amanda. Being an expert in something obscure is so cool. Like, she's a Victor Crowley expert. She knows everything. She knows all of her shit. And again, this is one of those movies where, like, you listen to the people who know what they're talking about, but nobody does because people are dumb. Again, now I know why she looked so familiar to me. Because I was like, something about her, like, and I don't like, unless it like really bothers me, I don't look them up. But this one was kind of just like a little itch in my brain. So you telling me that makes my life a lot easier. Thank you. I liked her. She didn't give a fuck. She stole Elliot. Is that the cop?
Mm-hmm.
Steals his gun, pulls it on Sid Haig when they go there. I think she's funny. I like her. Her
Poe White trash.
Yeah. It like works though. Like,
well, no, that's what she called Mary Beth.
She did. Because I mean, well, again, it works. It's true. Kind of.
Sheriff, which again played by Zach Galligan from Gremlins, taking the piss out of the plot of the second movie as he's questioning Danielle Harris in the jail cell about what the fuck's going on and why she showed up in prison covered in blood, or at the precinct covered in blood, trying to figure out what the hell's going on, just like completely making fun of the plot of the second movie. I really enjoy it. I kind of like when they do that.
Also, it's just like, he's like perplexed that none of the blood is hers. Bro, she came in holding a scalp. Obviously, it's not hers. Uh-oh.
First time in the whole movie I had a jump scare was because the fakest looking spider I've ever seen in my life. When we backed into the spider webs and he looked down and that huge spider was on his arm, I was like, oh God. Sorry.
It's not expecting that at all.
Swallow?
That was mine, was Amanda.
Yeah, and then
no,
I
you
said the sheriff taking the piss out. Yeah.
I literally forgot that just happened. I also just keep watching him to see his reaction.
Don't let Will distract you. Unless you're watching this, then absolutely let Will distract you and give us lots of likes for Will's reactions.
For Will's reactions. What is his name? What is his name in this one? It's the Perry Shen, but what's his name? Andrew. You know what? Swallow. He's like, guys, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Again, nobody listens to the people they need to listen to. And quote unquote sole survivor, or that's what we're led to believe until
he's a survivor.
See, I was thinking like sole survivor like Aegon, but okay.
No, fuck that. Destiny's Child.
Okay. But yeah, like we're led to believe that he's the quote unquote sole survivor of all of the shenanigans from this night until end of. See, I'm glad. I usually like skip the credits, but I'm happy I stuck around for the end of Victor Crowley. So be proud.
Well, starting the third movie off where the second movie ended, but Mary Beth is getting covered in more blood as she kills Victor for a third time, because at the end of the movie, bloody stumphead Victor Crowley still gets up and she has to take him down one more time before making her way back to civilization with the scalp and the gun in the precinct. I thought that was a fun, because like, yeah, you can pick up where it left off, but like you generally just kind of expect to pick it up where it left off, and then like she's on her way back and we're going to start the movie, but well, you don't expect her to immediately kill the villain right as the movie starts again. So I enjoyed that. You got any more swallows? So I got three more. Jason versus Jason, as Derek Mears collided with Kane Hodder.
Okay, yeah.
There was a Bayou Beavers reference. Shut up, Bayou Beavers. But the one that I thought you'd enjoy the most, it was like a really small, just like, like Bayou Beavers, or something like that. It wasn't like any
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about now.
new movie, new lore. The only way to actually get rid of Victor Crowley and break the curse is to give him his father's ashes, because his father is the one that killed him, but that is to put his soul at peace via the voodoo curse. So the only way to break the voodoo curse is to give him his father's ashes, which is why we go to see Sid Haig, because Sid Haig somehow has custody of Victor Crowley's father's ashes, their distant cousin, brother-in-law,
He was like
some
an uncle
shit,
or
whatever.
something or some shit.
Yeah, whatever it was. I enjoy new lore because, like, obviously the other one didn't do it, right? Like, he had technically killed all of the surviving members because the other one died when she was 12. So,
Yeah.
how do we stop him now? Oh, ashes.
But like, yes, that is a swallow, like new lore who dis. But also, it's not even like the lore part. It's just the fact that I put literally in half how is he able to come back. I understand he's like a repeater, but like it still like irritates me because like you're literally in pieces. How? Like that's a spit. Because how?
Okay.
Like I get it, but like I don't want to get it. You know?
No, I hear you. My first spit is white privilege, because let anyone other than a white woman walk into a police station with a gun and a scalp and not get shot immediately as she walks through the door.
I mean, true. True. I thought you were gonna say because Amanda just like works her way back into the cell, makes Elliot get her out.
Oh, no. Hold on. That's so Elliot letting Amanda Fowler boss him around, get back into the cell, springing a prisoner, driving a prisoner across the state, all with very little information as to what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And all she is the sheriff's ex-wife.
Ex-wife.
So, like, Elliot just let her walk all over him.
Yeah. This is true. He did. Because he's a little bitch.
What else you got for spits?
I don't appreciate big bald SWAT guy bullying the little cop who was just like. Also, that also was a swallow, and I forgot the fucking bazooka.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, nothing else works. Let's try this. But no, I don't appreciate bullies, and that guy was really rude and disrespectful to everybody.
Well, I also hate the trope, which I had something similar written down, of like SWAT team comes in and takes over investigation.
A weird reference, but it reminded me of Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Okay.
You know, like there's like the little cops that Paul Blart knows, and then like the SWAT guys. His name is Jimmy. Like they come in and they take over, and then he ends up being the bad guy. Spoilers for Paul Blart, but like, I mean,
Paul Blart.
that's immediately what I thought of when these big ass SWAT guys come in. I'm like, man, fuck the SWAT team. Except that one girl, she was chill. She was like, oh yeah, I just moved here from like Arizona or some shit. She was fine. She was cool. Sucks she died, but you shouldn't reach for the gun, bitch. It's your fault. Will said, okay.
Sorry, I wrote down spoilers for Paul Blart and then a timestamp. I'm going to come back to that.
You're welcome.
We already talked about racist, homophobic Sid Haig, who definitely voted for Trump.
Yep. Both times.
All of the paramedics just assuming that a girl could not do the murders in this movie. There's no way. How could a girl do this? Like,
they have no faith.
No faith.
Ye of little faith. Women are scary. They're scary and they're beautiful.
Especially because the man that did all of the murders got his ass kicked by the girl that they thought couldn't do the murders.
Got his ass cooked. 3 times.
all the big men that got chopped up. You had balls hanging from trees and all sorts of shit.
Ugh. Like, gross. That's also a spit. Like,
If balls are going to do anything, they're going to hang, Katie.
I understand that. But not the balls hanging specifically. It's more so just like, ow. Just the paramedics and the cops that were there all getting their ass cooked in like 10 seconds. Y'all didn't do anything. Like, weak shit. Except Andrew, who hid under a dead body, which is smart. Big brain.
And then took the pretty SWAT girl to the boat, and they locked themselves inside the boat with the sheriff, which almost worked.
Almost. I mean, it was close, but no. Sheriff had to stick his head in the hole, and then she also had to go towards the hole, and yeah.
My last bit is Mary Beth, because after everything that's happened in the last 72 hours, now you finally have a concrete way to end the curse and get revenge on the ghost that killed your father, that killed your brother, that killed a potential future boyfriend. All of these things. Shout out to Ben returning as well. Uncle Bob, all of this. And now because Amanda wants her to do it, now she's like, no, fuck that. I don't want to do it. Now all of a sudden she doesn't want to kill Victor Crowley after everything she's been through.
Well, you got to figure.
I'm figuring.
In the last 48 hours, in that time frame, I guess, something along those lines, she killed that man twice, kind of, and then he came back again. And at this point, wouldn't you just be like, I can't do this anymore? The PTSD, the trauma, I can't. I don't want to. That is me.
Okay.
I ain't going back there. Fuck that.
I mean, she was already going back, though, and then she did go back, and then she was in the swamp, and now it's like, here, all you have to do is give him the ashes and then kill the motherfucker. She's like, no, I ain't doing that. And it's like, you have to be the one for whatever reason. But,
because she's the last living relative of whatever the
Samson.
fuck. Samson Dunstan.
Poor white trash.
Poor white trash.
Any more spits before we get into the long list of kills that we have here?
Nope.
All right. Will, you might want to tune in for this. So Victor Crowley returns from the dead. Mary Beth fists his face whole and is cut in two with the world's biggest chainsaw as he falls backwards onto it, vertically cut in two, not horizontally.
Yeah. Hot dog, not hamburger.
Yeah. Yeah, like from the top of his head through his asshole.
Make it stop.
Paramedic. Paramedic gets his head blown up with electric paddles. The one-eyed cop gets his head split in two with the hatchet.
Mm-hmm.
3 to 4 random first responders ripped to shreds that we saw in a montage.
Mm-hmm.
Female deputy gets hooked and then pulled by the mouth into Crowley's house and thrown back out dead. Bald cop gets ripped in half, and then 4 other police and SWAT get wrecked as they go in to fight Victor Crowley and try and beat him down with their guns.
Yeah, police brutality at its finest.
Other bald cop gets blown up by Chatterman's RPG.
Yeah, which I respect it.
Chatterman, who is the small police officer Katie was talking about, impaled by flaming chunk of wood, then arms ripped off and face smushed into swamp floor.
Swamp floor. The mud, but okay.
Other paramedic finds Ben alive, but he gets a hatchet between the eyes, and then the paramedic is eaten by a gator.
Which is also, how many people have been through this swamp and y'all didn't notice Ben alive in a boat anywhere? Come on. That's a spit.
As Katie alluded to, Sheriff Lewis sticks his head in a glory hole and then gets it sanded off after, with the belt sander. Because this is the whole thing. Like the belt sander, by the third movie, they have really leaned into the belt sander. And there's talk about like, oh, well, we found this belt sander. I hope nobody left a powered belt sander out there. Belt sander, belt sander, belt sander. Like, we're really leading into the
That's in
belt
the
sander.
fourth. That's in the fourth one. Oh, I hope they haven't left a belt sander out for 10 years.
Yeah. So, Doherty gets shredded while being pulled through a small hole. The same glory hole that Sheriff stuck his head in. Yeah, no, she gets pulled through it, and the hole is smaller than her body, so it just kind of like. And poor Andrew is just watching all this happen. He's like, "Don't go near the glory hole, guys!" And they're like, "No, fuck that! I heard my wife." Oh, well, maybe he's okay. I'm gonna look.
Well, no, she's trying to get the gun. There's a difference.
Deputy Elliott gets his chest ripped open for helping Amanda because bad decisions were made. Amanda gets her head ripped off.
Yeah.
And then Victor Crowley melts after having his daddy's ashes smashed over his head, and then his melting corpse is blown up with the RPG.
Like, and I was
finale. And
here I was thinking, I think I put it in my notes for Victor Crowley. Not a prequel like I expected it to be. When we get there. Because I thought this was the end of it, and I thought the fourth movie was going to be like here's what actually happened, lore for the fourth time type shit. It was not.
No, honestly, I was kind of on the same boat when it was announced and everything, and I was like, oh, okay. Let's see what they're going to do here. Maybe this is all the stuff that happened prior to the beginning of this, but no.
No, not at all.
Will?
Yes.
I need about 30 seconds, so give us thoughts on Hatchet 2.
I'm done with Hatchet 2. I am on to Hatchet 3 now.
Okay.
I like I said, it was a good watch. Overall, I enjoyed Hatchet 2 more as a movie than I did Hatchet 1. Like I said, Hatchet 1 was it was almost like we were talking about earlier, like kind of campy, horror, gore for gore's sake. 2, however, kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to call it silly, the whole concept and story of these people going out to hunt him. You know what I were going back
It is a little silly.
You know what I mean? It was very like, still that was a little campy, but overall I enjoyed the story and the movie for the second one. Like, it wasn't a bad watch at all.
Oh yeah, and you got some fun kills in the second one.
Yeah, no, tons of fun kills. And the opening sequence, by the way, of the third one is fucking wild.
Oh yeah. Which honestly, it's not my first swallow, but ongoing theme throughout these movies is all of the famous horror actors and actresses. This movie features Tyler Mane, who played Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween and also played Sabretooth in the X-Men movies, the first set of X-Men movies.
Yeah. Wait. What?
Yeah.
Why don't I remember him in this movie at all?
Because it's during the opening sequence. He's like the hunter that they run into that gets killed real quick.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
But I know who that is. I bet I forgot he was in there. Okay. That makes sense.
Hold on. Let me...
Will's just having a snack.
It's a honey bun.
Just as high level treat he watches the movie.
They just used a paper towel to pick his head up. Like,
oh yeah, it's pretty gross.
So yeah, Tyler Mane plays Bernard.
Okay.
Dave Sheridan, who we all might know as Doofy from Scary Movie, which is apropos because this is the most horror comedy movie there is.
That's why he looked familiar.
Yes.
Fucking terrible.
Laura Ortiz playing Rose, who we talked about from the first movie, from Holliston, so on and so forth. Felissa Rose, who Katie remembers from Sleepaway Camp.
Was that
The agent.
Kathleen? Was
His
she the
agent.
was she the weird aunt in Sleepaway Camp?
No.
Who was she in Sleepaway
She
Camp?
was.
No.
Yeah.
I'm gagged. I did not know. That's crazy. She's looking rough, I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, that was a long time ago, too.
Well, I know, but like a little rough.
But yes, no, she's Angela in Sleepaway Camp.
Holy fuck. Gagged.
We also have Brian Quinn in this, Tiffany Shepis, and a voiceover from Tony Todd via YouTube playback. Brian Quinn and Brian Quinn being from Impractical Jokers.
I was very surprised by that.
Tiffany Shepis is in a shit ton of B-horror movies and things like that, like a long list of them. And that was the pregnant girlfriend on the plane of Brian Quinn.
Oh, okay.
Lord. Oh, I didn't ask you. Hatchet 3, Spit or Swallow?
We'll give Hatchet 3 a swallow, sure.
So 1 got a gargle, 2 got a swallow, 3 got a swallow. I'm thinking 2's still your favorite, though, right?
I do like 2.
Yeah, 2 was good. What's your first swallow for Victor Crowley?
Oh, like the opening. I don't know if they're not like credits, but like the little girl doing like the voiceover thing of like the lore of Victor Crowley.
Recap of Victor's tragic story by candlelight.
Yes, just the right amount of spooky. Like children are creepy, especially in horror movies, but like them just talking and it being like a creepy ambiance, big word for me, I know. I loved that. I love when you can like hook me with like an intro or like a recap or like a backstory, but like in a good way, you know? Good shit.
Again, this is very much more horror comedy, lying more heavily on the comedy than the horror in this one. But so in the third movie, or no, the second movie, when they have the hunting party, there is a guy in the hunting party named Chad that everyone's giving shit. And they're giving him shit about his name. And he's like, well, at least I got Chad. They named my brother Skip. Well, Chad's brother Skip is here, ladies and gentlemen, blaming Andrew for the death of his family because in this movie, Andrew being the sole survivor who wrote a book about how he survived, so on and so forth. A lot of people don't believe that Victor Crowley exists, and they think Andrew murdered all of those people in the swamp and or got their family members killed.
Fucking 10 years later, and they're still blaming him. Wild.
Also, shout out to Perry Shen for coming back as Andrew this time.
First time he gets to play the same character.
Yep.
Good job, bud.
What other swallows you got, Katie?
I really wrote this real shit. Hold on. I did have it as a swallow. Q from Practical Jokers. Because like that's a fun little cameo you don't expect. I didn't know any of them did anything like really outside of the show. Like I know that like Sal and Q are like wrestling fans, so they go to wrestling shows every once in a while. But like I didn't know they fucked with like horror movies and stuff like this. So that's very funny lore about Impractical Jokers that I learned in this movie. So that's a fun swallow right there.
Q is one of my favorites on that show. Like Sal's cool. Mears. I love Joe, and I love
Joe was my favorite. Now that he's gone, it's not the same.
It's not, and I don't watch it anymore because of that.
I don't either, because Joe is the best part of the show. We said what we said.
Best part of this movie, possibly the franchise for me, outside of Danielle Harris, Rose. I love the character of Rose. I love everything about Rose. Laura Ortiz is amazing and fantastic in this. I love her attitude. I love the sass. I love everything about it. Rose is my shit.
Okay. I respect it. I understand.
You
She's
feel
fun.
Differently, don't you?
No, I didn't really have issues with her.
Oh.
She wasn't one of the people I expected to survive, but yeah, no, she was fun. But she's no Dylan. And that's my favorite character. So stupid, so funny. Now that I know he was doofy, even funnier. Like, again, every movie needs that comedic relief or something like that, or the pretty one who's too stupid for their own good. This is Dylan. So pretty.
Don't you have to buy me while cleaning my room?
It's so fucked up, but it's so funny. Like, who that should not have been allowed. But I digress. No, Dylan was so funny, and heroically sacrificing himself at the end. We love it.
So, while in the version that you and I watched, because I know you watched it off my digital account, wasn't the unrated version, so we didn't get to see them. In the unrated version, you do see the boobs in the signing when the girl lifts her shirt up.
Oh, okay.
But since we didn't get to see that, that's not my swallow. My swallow is Linus, who wanted to get his dick signed. And just Andrew's, like, the entire interaction of, like, will you sign this? I don't sign. You signed her boobs. What? You're a homophobe? Like, you can sign boobs, but you can't sign that whole thing. And then his agent on the phone, like, not seeing what's going on. I enjoyed that whole interaction.
Also, he must have had a very small dick because he wasn't holding much. Just saying.
You don't need a lot of room to write Linus, Katie.
Apparently you do, or maybe Andrew would have done it.
No, I don't. I think the penis was the problem for Andrew, not the name.
True.
Any other swallows?
I don't know what I consider it. It's just one of the things that's there. The fucking pilots, when they're talking, like, just it does lean into the comedy. Like, this one does a lot. They say something and it's a lot of and then they talk, but then it happens 5 other times, and the just get longer. It's just one of those things.
Done. He starts back up. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, little ha-has. Sure.
And then last but not least for me, Mary Beth is alive. Mary Beth Dunstan is alive, waiting.
Shook.
Which also reminded me of another franchise that we covered that I loved, which was when we found out that Andy was still alive. At the end of Child's Play, I think it was Cult of Chucky in the mid-credits scene. Where Andy's still alive and goes after Chucky. It was either Curse or Cult. It might have been Curse.
I think it was Curse because he shows up in Cult.
Yeah, so Curse of Chucky.
Yeah.
What about your spits, Katie?
What the fuck does this say? Hold on, I write really fast sometimes, so I can't read my own notes. Oh, I do have. This is again one of the things where it's like leaning towards a spit, but I don't know. Again, all caps. Because granted, this came out in 2017. No follow up with Mary Beth at the end? Question mark? Because like, how are you gonna tease that? And we don't get anything else. We don't get anything new from that. That makes me mad.
I hear you.
She
You
said,
need Victor Crowley too, or Hatchet 4.
I'm not saying we need like a full movie.
What would it be? No, but like, what
Belt
would it be?
Stander 1.
Would it be Hatchet 4? God damn it, Katie.
I'm funny. Will, am I funny?
I think you're hilarious.
Thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome. I have an issue with Redneck Gil Weathers.
Caroline Williams, Amanda.
Like, I don't know what it is. I just don't think I like her very much. Like,
that's
Katie does.
So funny. Redneck Gil Weathers is wild.
This is who I think she is. She's like
God.
immediately like, yeah, short-haired Reba. Like, I
Sure.
wasn't sure which one I was gonna call her.
That's like the second time you've mentioned like Reba this week, I'm pretty sure, on a show. Oh god, that's so funny. Anyways.
I actually have bullet points for this episode. We got spoilers for Paul Blart, Belt Sander 1, and Redneck Gale Weathers.
Look at that. Look at us go.
So I guess it's a gargle because it was a unique way to go about it. I just don't know how I feel about Victor Crowley being revived in the swamp because somebody played a YouTube compilation of people trying to say the voodoo curse on their phone while in the swamp. And it was Reverend Zombie,
of course,
losing half his body and his skin
pre-Mortal Kombat Fatality.
Pre-Mortal Kombat Fatality, doing it, and actually reciting it properly. But like, on one hand, like that's a cool, innovative way to do it. And on the other hand, that is a really stupid way to bring someone back. But we lean into the horror comedy here, so like, I can't be too mad at it.
Mm-hmm. I just thought of this one now, and like I didn't really think about it. The fuck was the girl's name trying to make the movie?
Chloe or Casey? No, Chloe.
Chloe. It's just like I really expected her to be the final girl, based off like all the shit that was happening, like pre them getting to the swamp and everything. So like, not necessarily a spit or a swallow, but just like a wow, they really fucked me up with that one.
I have issues with Chloe because right off the bat, when we're introduced to Chloe, she is cucking her boyfriend for Andrew.
I mean,
just like,
yeah,
straight up. He's my hall pass, and I want to have his babies. And he's like, well,
he's like, I'm right here.
He's not even really a celebrity, and it's not supposed to be someone you can actually meet, and blah 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 blah. And then just like completely rude to her boyfriend while in line to see Andrew, to pitch Andrew to be in her movie. Because I guess we haven't done a great job of explaining the plots of these movies, but in Victor Crowley, the premise is that Andrew, like we said, is a sole survivor, and Chloe, Rose, and Chloe's boyfriend, whose name I have written down, but I'm not going to look at my notes for, it's really not important, are going to make a movie about the Victor Crowley murders, and they want to get Andrew to star in their movie. They want to shoot a fake pilot.
A trailer, yeah.
It's like
trailer
Stab
for the movie.
It is like Stab.
That's the goal. Andrew ends up back in the swamp because he has a shitty agent who lied to him about everything. A shitty agent that books him on his ex-wife's talk show post-divorce when things are not good. Promises him $1 million when actually it was like $25,000, which is very different than $1 million. Doesn't read the book that he wrote. Apparently no one but his ex-wife read that book or gives a shit about him. Just shitty all around to poor Andrew. He's not having a good time after surviving all of this.
Straight up not having a good time. I mean, that's another spit though, is and I don't like when it's like a weird gray territory, like making movies about, like, in this scenario, in this world, in the Hatchet franchise, making a movie about real people dying is weird, especially when she has like a book of like the newspaper clippings of everything, and she wanted her boyfriend's shirt to be exactly like Ben's, and you know, like there's like making a movie about something, and then there's like being really weird about making a movie about something real. And she was on like that weird side of it, and I didn't like that because she was like, no, this curse needs to be right. Well, it's her fucking fault that Victor Crowley comes back, so we're blaming everything on Chloe. Let's start there. It's just And then, like, it's not even Victor Crowley, it's the body that fell out of the plane. Who just becomes Victor Crowley. That's another spit. Because what the fuck?
He just told him, you're not going to believe the glass guy in the last bag was a little Asian dude cut off below the leg, and he looked just like you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, because we all look the same.
That's a good joke, considering this dude has been in every movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, no,
Like,
fantastic. 2
That's,
and 3
that's
were
a
really good. 2
Yeah.
and 3 are really good.
This one...
Any more spits before we get into our kills?
Hold on. Again, I can't read this. No, I said that's no bueno. I had enough help in their bed, not a prequel. No, I think that's really it.
Victor Crowley being reincarnated as a body that fell from a plane. Which, mind you, the plane that Andrew's on crashes in the swamp as Victor Crowley. Things happen, and then they're stuck in the swamp, and a lot of this takes place in the plane. Finding out, last spit before kills, finding out that your girlfriend is pregnant as she is trapped on a plane, and her and your unborn child are drowning in the swamp, just slowly having to watch that happen.
But then the kicker is his scalp landing on top of her face.
Well, we're not there yet. I got that in the kills.
But I'm just saying, like, on top of all the things that are happening to her.
Yeah. So we kick off the movie in 1964. There's a whole like proposal scene with a lot of snot and again comedy.
Very scary movie.
Very scary movie-esque. A hunter gets decapitated. Tyler Mane. 1964 couple gets engaged, then gets stabbed through the eye from the back. Or he gets stabbed through the eye from the back, and she gets chopped into a bunch of little pieces and has her head ripped off.
Again, overkill for what?
And like, what did the 1964 couple really have to do with anything?
That one was apparently that one was like close to the time he gets murdered, right? Like Victor Crowley.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Roughly. Crew member sucked out of window and dropped from plane and then reincarnated into Victor Crowley. Pilots and makeup artists die in plane crash from injuries. Alex face smashed with a hammer and then head removed.
Yep.
Alex being the boyfriend. Chloe gets her head shoved through a plane window and then is dragged as bait while still alive, and then eventually gets her head smashed as Rose watches and sadly screams for her friend. Austin Quinn gets scalped, and then his scalp covered his trapped baby's mama's face as she slowly dies from drowning. Kathleen, which is the agent, gets her arms ripped off and then shoved up her vagina and out her mouth.
Whilst holding a phone.
So she fisted herself.
That's what someone in the movie says. You can't steal this joke.
Casey, being the pregnant woman on the plane, and the unborn baby both drown. That's a twofer.
That's great.
Sabrina gets decapitated.
Does she though? Because we don't see her die. Don't we? Do we?
Yeah, she gets decapitated. She's hiding out. Sabrina is the talk show host. She runs. Yeah. She gets into the boat. He grabs her by the head and.
Oh. I don't know if they show. I don't think they show that in that version because they don't. They don't show her die. I mean, obviously I know she does, but the camera does a weird spin thing, and then it just shows Victor Crowley from the bottom of the boat up. Unless I just blinked and looked down or something.
Sabrina decapitated by Victor with hatchet.
Okay, well then I just wasn't paying attention. I guess whatever.
Our hero of the movie, Dylan, Doofy Dylan, sacrifices himself by tackling Victor into a plane engine, and then they both get pureed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we have 2 soul survivors.
Hey, listen, he got his kiss from Rose, and that's all he wanted. Shout out
That's
to
all he needed.
She's like, if you save her, I'll fuck you.
Basically.
Victor Crowley, spit or swallow.
It's just gonna get a gargle. I can't fully spit it because like there are some things I did like, but I didn't like it enough.
I've noticed from all of the movies that we've covered together that the more Will is so zoned into this movie, it's a fun movie. Hatchet 3's fun. When the horror comedy gets campy, Katie is not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I know you like Scary Movie.
Mm-hmm.
I know
I like
you
Freddy
like
vs. Jason.
Well, and that is kind of campy, but that's less comedy and more horror.
Yeah.
But I know you like Cabin in the Woods. Again,
Yeah.
a little more horror, a little less comedy, but it's a it's a take on it. But you do not like Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness, which is the most campy of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
As the movies get more campy, Katie likes them less, which is fair, Victor Crowley's probably my least favorite of the franchise. I'd probably rank it 2, 3, 1, and then Victor Crowley.
I don't know. 1 and 4 can like flip flop all they want, but yeah, 2, 3.
Oh no! See, 1 for me, 1 established everything, and we did really like Mary Beth, even though I love Rose.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll go 2, 3, 1. Victor Crowley.
Yeah. Also, Robert Englund is only in the first one. We can't rank the Robert Englund movie last. That's not fair.
That's true. I mean, we can't disrespect him like that.
But we did get Jason versus Leatherface, Jason versus Candyman, Jason versus Freddy, theoretically again, Jason versus Michael Myers when he killed Tyler Mane, Jason versus Jason. We got Jason versus damn near everybody but fucking Pinhead.
Wouldn't it be funny if we got like Jason versus Chucky? That would be fun. That'd be a fun fight.
Brad Dourif he's like horror's Gary Oldman. Brad Dourif is in so much shit and just pops up randomly and does so well at like being different characters, but also just being fucking Brad Dourif. Like
he's in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Because I just like recently like rewatched them because I haven't watched them in so long, and I was just trying to like think of like franchises to watch, and I was like, hold up, wait a minute,
Chucky
that person looks familiar. Chucky versus the Leprechaun. Tiny person versus tiny
book
person.
Is terrible.
I don't know what you're talking about. But no, yeah, Brad Dourif is in it, and I was like also shocked that like Carl Urban was also in Lord of the Rings, but like that's a whole other conversation we can have later.
I had a guy stare me down that looked just like Frank Grillo today, and I was not happy. Like I got to a 4-way stop, right? And I pulled up, and he had pulled up, and I flashed my lights for him to go. And as he's making his left, he's just like staring at me, like not like a thank you for letting him go or anything. He's just like hard staring me in the eyes as he's like making his left. And I'm like, fuck you, Frank Grillo. You look just like Frank Grillo.
Maybe it was Frank Grillo, and now you have personal beef with Frank Grillo for your life.
Yep. No, fuck you, Frank Grillo, for staring at me as you made that left. Where was my courtesy? Thank you. I let you go, bro. Like,
no, honestly, at this point, I'm not letting anyone go because no one fucking respects it, so they can suck my dick. I don't care.
What year did the third movie come out?
2013.
Why does Redneck Gail Weathers have a fucking Sony sidekick?
because she's Redneck Gail Weathers.
She's Redneck Gail Weathers.
Who is still using slide up like sidekick style phones in 2013? That was at least
hold on, Will, pause though. Think about this. All of these movies take place within like 48 hours of each other. So it came out in 2013, but we're still back in like 2006.
Oh, fair. I didn't think about that. You're right. This is the third day of this whole This is a really
So
shitty
shout out to
40.
them
Yeah.
for making a movie 7 years later and keeping to the time.
No, that is a very good point. Well played.
Well played. Well played.
Katie,
Yeah.
final thoughts on Hatchet before we get out of here.
A lot of overkill. Should have been called Belt Sander. I said what I said. Strong female characters, specifically Mary Beth. And Kane Hodder's goated. Those are my final thoughts.
Well, final thoughts on the 2.5 movies you've watched?
2.25.
No, I'm about halfway through the third one.
Oh, wow, okay.
33 minutes into it. So I'm about 40% through. Yeah. First one was it's like reverse osmosis. Like I'm Benjamin Buttoning this movie franchise. Because the first one wasn't like I was like, okay, it was okay, but I had never watched any of the other ones. Like watching 2 wasn't a bad movie. Like I told Katie, I was like, it's an okay horror movie. 3 has been just the same as 2. Like it's not bad at all. Like it's been a fun watch. Like the 2 and 3 were better than the first one. And I'm a third of the way, halfway through the third movie right now.
We agree.
I think Stone will enjoy Victor Crowley. Not so much Stone might not enjoy Victor Crowley. So
fair. You know both well. You know both well.
You know both will.
I know both will.
You know both wills well.
Well, for the Will Gray, well, I'll let him do his thing. Katie, please tell everyone where they can find you before we get out of here.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter,
Will's busy.
Katie13. Linktree about Take Everything She Elite Showcase, twitch.tv/She Elite Showcase, youtube.com/She Elite Showcase, Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern-ish. And just did a new article thingy on Pro Wrestling Wire about Chelsea Green because it was Matt's idea and I had nothing else to write about. So you can check that out. It was pretty good. Super proud of myself.
Go check it out. She's fantastic.
Go
check it out.
Thanks.
Well, William, the rivets, the cities, and the radios.
I actually read Red, White, and Green this morning.
Oh my God! Thank you so much.
Yeah, I read it this morning. I am the Will Graham, the host and lead writer at Rivet City Radio. We are the home and broadcasting network for all things botchbots and chair shots, nerdy news, and a plethora of other things. If you check the link tree in my bio at the Will Gray, you will find everything that I do for the aforementioned podcasting, including the YouTube with the video games and all the places and all the things. And thank you.
As always, you guys can. You're welcome, bud. You guys can follow me at Smackin' Raw, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and that'll get you both your Getting Off content and your Smackin' It Raw content. So follow me all of the places for all of the things. For Miss Katie Kinsey Bay and the Will Gray, I am the patron saint of podcasting, the Word Matt Ritter, and you have gotten offed.
Belt Sander.